Coming in live here in San Antonio, a settlement in Saipan, the northern Marinara Islands, close to the southwestern tip of the island. We're of course here today with ESL Open Cup number 99 Asia Division, and I'm of course your host Yaku of the Zaku. With me today is La Medusa de caja que está disponible para su compra a voluntad. Like _VIP, how we doing, like?
What's up, Yaku? Yes, we are back with ESL Asia. We missed out on last week. We were tired. We were we were on that D-Gen sleep schedule a little bit.
Little bit? I was full in the D-Gen last week.
God damn.
I'm only weaning off it now.
Oh god, but we are here. We are well rested, and mate, we got a ZVP.
Indeed, we do. When was the last time we had one of these in ESL Asia?
It's been too long.
That's what I want to know. But of course, in this ZVP, we're going to start it on 2,000 atmospheres, LE. We're in the top right-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the top right-hand corner. A blue Zerg player from the land of South Korea, representing Prep Esports. He is ByuL.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of 2,000 atmospheres LE, we have our South Korean Protoss player. He is red, representing Team NV. It is NightMare.
Been a long time since we have had a Zerg player, but I think this may be the first time that I'm casting ByuL in the ESL Open Cup Asia.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I believe we have casted ByuL before on this channel, but it may have been me and Milk. I don't know. He did recently return from the military.
Might have, yeah. Or I might have, but it was a qualifier. Look, it all.
Oh, no, I think you're right. I think we casted him like in King of Battles Americas qualifier or something. Like maybe me and Startup.
Ringing a bell.
Yeah. Either TSL or King of Battles, but yeah. So here we are in ESL Open Cup Asia. I think what I love most, especially, I don't know what it is. You're talking about like, yo, it's been a while since we've had a ZVP. Zergs have been like kind of like exiled from ESL Asia for the majority of the year. It's like really these last couple of months where they're coming back.
Last couple of months, try about the last week or so.
Yeah.
You'll remember last week on Wednesday, we actually had to reschedule the ESL Asia, and that was a tournament where Rogue and Solar showed up. I remember everybody being very hyped for a potential Zerg player in the finals. And
yeah.
It didn't quite happen. A couple of days later on Sunday, though, we did get a Zerg player in the finals when Dark really showed up and showed all the other Zerg players how to do it, really.
Yeah, I remember we were so surprised. It was on that Wednesday where it's like, yo, Solar and Rogue, like they've been MIA for the entire year. I guess they're busy on a Sunday. Like, I guess they're men of God, you know.
Lord's Day.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember seeing them both on opposite ends of the bracket, just being super hyped, like, yo, we might not just have a Zerg player in the finals, we might have a ZVZ finals! Oh! And wasn't quite meant to be. I think we had Cure versus some Protoss player in TVP, but
I want to say Zaun.
That's what it was. I want to say Zaun too, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was not meant to be, but at least we had some Zerg representation, and we have the same today. !B in the chat if you want to have a look at the bracket. We have ByuL, we have Dark later on, we have Ragnarok, so a decent spread outside of the usual Zest, Cure, Young, like Terrans and Protosses that we're used to here in ESL Asia.
Yeah, quite a bit of variety going on today. Not quite in the builds yet, though. Although we are still in the start of the broadcast.
Oh, yeah, and I remember seeing this the last time we casted ByuL, actually. Again, during one of those qualifiers where he is going for +1 melee. Again, this is pretty blindly going for this, which is, we'll see how it works, as he has no idea that Glaive Adepts are on the way.
Well, it's definitely a gamble. We'll see who's able to hit first. That +1 melee is not going to do anything, really, against Glaive Adepts unless ByuL somehow is able to get one good connection with the Banelings, but it's not looking, that's not looking too likely so far.
Yeah, exactly. Like going plus one melee in Bailings, like going for this like hardcore like queen ground army composition like this is great against sky toss openings because you just go for run bys constantly and you kind of outmaneuver the sky toss. But we have a commitment into Glaive Adepts, which is interesting and will do well against Lings.
Extremely well. Again, I do think that the one saving grace for ByuL is the Banelings potentially. But he hasn't really scouted what's coming his way. He's not, making any safety banes or anything yet.
Yeah, exactly. We have a couple on the way now, and we have a lot of Lings. So again, like he is kind of preparing for what's coming. I guess he has seen. Okay, now he has finally seen these Glaive Adepts. Is he gonna have enough? It's all about the positioning. Maybe he can get a Juices around and have those connections. Maybe not.
Yeah, we'll see if the Lings are able to block off the retreat, and they do. A couple of good surrounds and a couple of connections, but nowhere near enough. You actually see a lot of the Adepts sniping the Banelings before they can actually get into position.
Yeah, that's the power of Glaives. Nice full wall off though. Again, these Glaive Adepts could have gone into that mineral line. Nice focus fire on that final baning. The Adepts will finally be cleaned up, and ByuL, he holds.
Yeah, actually doesn't lose much of anything there.
Yeah.
Look at Yuli's last tap.
Not gonna lie, I was really worried when the first set of banelings were all sniped, and
I
was like, oh no! But thankfully, we had some reinforcements, and ByuL was able to defend without losing any drones.
Yeah, not only that, but he is primed for the counterattack. NightMare was trying to go for Charged Archon behind this, but that still takes a pretty dang long time to really get that army up and running. Lingbane can absolutely shred through the defense of NightMare.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, what is there here at home to defend? All the Adepts are dead, the Void Rays are across the map. No force fields! One of the sentries dies immediately!
That it does, and another one is not too far behind. Thankfully, he is able to get the force fields off before any of the Banelings hit to the mineral line. But how long can it really last?
Oh god, that is the question. The Queens are waddling across the map. The Immortals are getting surrounded as well. I was about to say Queens aren't the best unit against Immortals, but in the end, they do get taken out. The Banelings did eventually break into the mineral line, and everything here at the third is falling.
Yeah, without any shield batteries. Okay, there's a shield battery in overcharge right now. So effectively, the Archon will be healed up, and it will be able to potentially hold the line, but there's still an awful lot of Zerg beating down NightMare's door.
Yeah, exactly. The Queens are keeping each other alive. They're just waiting for reinforcements. The Lings are on the way. They just have to buy a little bit more time. If the Queens fall, then this attack is over. But the Queens, they have stood strong. The reinforcements arrive, and there's still only one Archon, and Overcharge was already used.
I thought the Queens ran out of energy, but I didn't notice this high energy Queen towards the south. It still has a little bit of transfuse left in it. Two Archons are terrifying to deal with when you're on Queen Ling. You can see just how effective they are dealing with all of these low energy, low health Queens, but the Lings are able to make it into natural base.
Yeah, the wall was not a wall. Everything's gonna get depowered here. Probes are falling left and right. I mean, sure, he holds on to the third base. Props to NightMare there, but the Lings are still wreaking havoc, and NightMare is still struggling to deal with all this. Meanwhile, behind this, look at all these upgrades, look at all these spaces.
I was just looking at the worker count, and I thought, well, NightMare is behind, but since he did keep those 3 bases with Chrono Boost, and he may be able to catch up, then I noticed how many bases ByuL was getting, and I'm a little less optimistic, to say the least.
Yeah, as am I. I mean, ByuL is going across the map. I don't know if I would say he's all in, but again, he's looking to deal some damage, maybe get a hatchery. The Archons, they do so well against Lings. We have a couple of Zealots, but there's no like true answer to Roach Ravager. There's only a single Immortal, and it's almost dead.
Pretty much. One good surround is really all ByuL needs. But it's a lot of Archons, and he's starting to fight off a creep.
Yeah, that he is, but he doesn't get anywhere near that hatchery. We still have nothing but Roach Ravager Ling on the way here on the production tab. ByuL, he does defend, and NightMare, he has to go all the way back home.
All the way back home where there's another run by a Baneling. Thankfully, NightMare doesn't use too many probes of that.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, NightMare is trying to sneak into the main base. Okay, these Archons, they got a lot of work to do. Maybe they can get a mineral line, like the army's a little... I was about to say...
They might be able to.
Yeah, maybe.
Decent target firing, if these drones clump up, but ByuL very quick under reaction. couple of Banelings do get sniped, which, you know, it's something. Makes the player waste a little bit of gas, but Banelings are the least of NightMare's concerns.
True. At least, you know, he traded very efficiently there. You know, he kept both of his Archons alive. He got some damage done. But again, he is looking for more. Meanwhile, because he's a little bit behind, he's looking to try and get back into this. Disruptors are a great way, the great equalizers, as you call them. And, I mean, even though NightMare, he's down 70 supply, some good Purification Overs could change everything.
You absolutely can. Look at how clumped up these Roaches and Ravagers are. ByuL reacts too late, but he doesn't. He reacts just, actually quite a bit before time.
Yeah. And just like that, 2 Novas go out and only 2 Roaches fall. NightMare needed more than that. And ByuL, he's just pushing on forward, looking to break through. The Archons are starting to fall.
Yeah, that Charge just popped in one of those bases. Purification Nova could have been juicy, but it still gets a little bit of damage. ByuL is chased back. He doesn't quite have his reinforcements in position yet, it seems.
Yeah, it's so difficult brute forcing your way into 4 disruptors like this. The real way to just shut this down is to get Hive and to get Vipers, but it takes time to do so. And if you back off and tech up, then you let NightMare get a base. Like, ByuL has to be careful. He has to make sure NightMare doesn't get his economy up and running.
And that's exactly what he's looking to prevent. I looked at the supplies and I thought, alright, ByuL still has a massive army, but like you said, brute forcing your way through, not going to be too efficient. It's definitely going to be a way to throw it. So how is he using his supply? Well, he just splits up his army and he goes for some multi-prongs.
Oh god, exactly. The wall is never a wall. It's I don't know what's happening here at the natural, but it's always just wide open for Lynx to come on through. And again, 2 probes go down, it's something.
Yeah. You know? These 2 probes hurt a lot for NightMare, though.
Yeah. Again, he's the one who's had his economy crippled. We have a bit of a Ling run by. Archons are here to meet him, though. So, again, NightMare, he has already pre-split his army.
He has, with the social batteries here, and he does get surrounded a little bit. Actually, I guess I underestimated the splash damage of the Archons. Those Lings were obliterated.
Yeah, Lings against Archons, you never want to see it. Meanwhile, NightMare has to be careful. He's kind of deep on creep. He's looking to get surrounded, and if he loses his army, that's going to be game.
Oh! A couple of Purification Novas get thrown out. It's a bit of a Hail Mary. He gets 1 good connection, but 1 is not enough. All of the Disruptors go down. Most of the Archons as well.
NightMare, please. Like, he was getting back into this game. He was trading well. He was defending at home. Sure, there were run-bys, but he was doing okay. And essentially, his disruptor count was reset. He saved 2 of them, but that's 2 out of, I think, 6 he had.
Something along those lines. If you look at the amount of gas NightMare's lost, I think that tells pretty much the entire story here. NightMare has lost a lot of minerals, but he's lost those minerals in Lings and whatnot, very expendable units. NightMare just keeps losing his high, expensive units.
Yeah, he just can't afford losses like that. Again, he has to play as efficiently as possible from here on forward 5 minutes ago, and he's been doing okay, but he's been slipping up a little bit too much. And ByuL, sure, he's been trading inefficiently, but like, he's got 5 bases. He's getting a 6th base towards the bottom right. He can afford to trade inefficiently.
I just love how patient ByuL has been playing this out so far. There were a couple of moments where, looking at the supplies and looking at the positions, he could have maybe tried to force his way in, but with that many Archons, that many Disruptors, it was just as possible that he could have brute forced his way in and thrown away his entire army and allowed NightMare to counterattack from there. ByuL rather is not taking any risks. He's just taking a little bit of damage wherever he can find it, and he's just slowly trying to starve NightMare out.
Exactly. We have a massive army run by here towards the bottom right. He will get a kill, not a cancel on the bottom right hand Nexus. At the same time, he tried to go for a bathing run by. NightMare was able to defend though. But again, the problem is that ByuL, he's teching up. Greater Spire is on the way. Brood Lords are on the way.
It's probably the best way to deal with that many Disruptors on the ground.
Yeah, like, what shoots up here? Archons? Like, they're not gonna get anywhere near the Brood Lords.
Yeah, they're just gonna do a little bit of a dance back and forth. What do they call it? The Broodling dance? That some people have been taking to calling it.
Where they get, like, glitched out and they're trying to get past the Broodlings, but they just can't, yeah.
used to happen with Thors. Nowadays, it happens a lot more with Archons.
Shaking my head. Meanwhile, a bit of a Roach run by. Again, ByuL, he's maxed out. He wants to get rid of Roaches to make Broodlords. Goes for another attack. This time runs into a wall of Immortals and Archons, so he can't really make any headway here. But again, he's just clearing supply for more Broodlords.
Yeah. He wants to get rid of his Roaches. He doesn't want to donate them. Wants to get a decent price out of them.
That he does. Meanwhile, to be fair, NightMare, he's not like resting on his laurels. Like, he threw down, I think it was 4 Stargates, or 3 Stargates and a Fleet Beacon, so he's looking to get into Skytoss.
Looking to, but will he?
Yeah.
Question. If he somehow is able to max out in Skytoss, then I do think that ByuL's army is just going to get completely countered, but he's got a long way to go, and ByuL is not making it easy on him.
Exactly. Like, the problem is that, like, this ground army for NightMare is on a timer. It's about to die. He needs to recall the hell out of here, and he's looking to do so. But even if he does, like, he can't stop NightMare. Sorry, he can't stop ByuL right now. Like, the carriers needed to be done already, and they're still on the way.
No, he recalls Swords to Space!
Oh.
Which is exactly where the army is at. Effectively, the Broodlords still take quite a while to get in position, so yeah. It's not like NightMare is completely penned in or punished for that.
Yeah, exactly. The Broodlords are here. Tempests are on the way, which again are a nice addition to deal with the Broodlords, but Corruptors are on the way already, mate. Like, we already have a bit of anti-air. If these Broodlords can deal with the Archons before the Tempests come out, then, I mean, and they are. I don't know about NightMare, man.
Yeah, the Corruptors are out, but they still take a little while to get into position, so ByuL, or NightMare, sorry, should be able to hold. But again, all it takes is for ByuL to just regroup with his Corruptors, and I think that's going to be about it. He even drew NightMare's army away from shield battery range. I think this is about conclusive, maybe. The supplies are looking a bit even. Actually, the supplies favoring NightMare.
I mean, everything in the air is falling. The Corruptors are just far too much. The Broodlords did deal with the Archons. I was thinking maybe if the Archons can protect the Tempest, then NightMare can hold. But there was just no way. He did not have an answer fast enough to deal with these Broodlords.
And just like that, everything in the sky falls. Immediately after that, what is left of the ground army, a handful of Chargelets and 1 Immortal, I think, falls with it. GG is called. ByuL takes game number 1.
Oh, GG, well played. And as we get that GG, massive shout out to Florencio in the chat. Thank you so much for the raid. Hope you enjoyed your disgusting ladder session. As he is the famous sewer mermaid.
Indeed, he is. I think Florencio might have gone to bed by now, but I like to follow New Vegas stream, man. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, he wasn't laddering.
I'm not sure about today.
Okay.
He was playing New Vegas on Friday.
Fair enough, fair enough. But yes, massive shout out to Florencio. Thank you so much. For those wondering who he is, of course, an American, I believe American, maybe North American at least, Protoss player who, he has like the mind of Miyamika in a way. It's crazy. It's doesn't make any sense.
Somewhat.
Yeah, does whatever he wants when it comes to builds. It's disgusting.
But for Protoss. Well, usually for Protoss, he has spread out his tail, shall we call it?
That he has, and now we are diving into game number 2. Ooh, and it looks like it's gonna be Berlingrad.
This is where we want to get the depths. Maybe.
You're not wrong. Also, I would like to ask you to check your audio because you do sound quieter than you usually sound.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Discord. I've noticed that it actually doesn't pick up for whatever reason sometimes.
Okay. All good.
Yeah. I'll look into the settings after we are in the intros, continuing the series on Berlingrad LE. Of course, in the top left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the top left-hand corner, we have a blue Zerg player coming out from the land of South Korea. He is going to be representing Prep Esports, taking game number 1. He is ByuL.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Berlingrad LE, we have the South Korean Protoss. He is red, representing Team NV. Currently down in this series, but not out. It is NightMare.
Does this help?
Oh, this actually does sound a little bit better. Yeah.
Ah!
Ah.
I boosted the game up by 1 dB.
By 1?
By 1.
That was a lot, actually. Like, you went from, like, 50 to 100. Not gonna lie.
Well, it was actually 5 dB, but...
Okay, can you lower it by, like...
Sounds that much.
By, like, 1 dB?
Lower it by 1 dB.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're good. People in the chat, if you have any or again, just let us know any feedback when it comes to the audio to make sure we are well balanced. Sometimes, you know, Windows does its own thing and just like changes some settings. It's yeah.
Funny enough, this time the settings didn't change. It was just the settings stayed the same. It's just what the settings mean that are different.
There you go.
Question mark. They use a different conversion-ish?
Okay. Maybe.
They convert it from NA to international? I don't know.
God damn. As we are getting into this game, and nothing too crazy so far. I think you touched on something that I agree with. I don't know if I like Sky Toss on a map as small as Berlingrad.
Yeah, there's a pretty good reason why we haven't been seeing Sky Toss on Kaliningrad. Not only just such a short rush distance with a Zerg player, which a Zerg player can definitely take advantage of before the Protoss player gets much in the air. But even afterwards, look at how little dead air there is compared to some of the other maps.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Even if they do, yeah.
Yeah, there's not that much room to abuse, really. I mean, sure, there are a couple of rocks that can maybe stifle some, like, queen pushes. But again, queen pushes can be quite popular and can be executed very well on this map, which is why we don't see a Stargate opener.
Yeah, boy. Don't even see a Stargate at all, really.
Exactly. So NightMare, he knows, he's reading our minds, he's listening to the stream, and he doesn't go Glaives.
Beautiful. He saw that Florencio raided us, and he thought, all right, I gotta give the fans what they want.
Oh my god. Okay, so we saw Archons earlier and kind of a pseudo late Archon drop in game 1. We could be seeing that earlier here in game 2. Of course, if the DTs don't do any damage and if there's detection, then they can morph into those Archons and be quite annoying. But so far, this has gone unscouted from ByuL.
It has, which is why ByuL's just getting a safety spore. Not sure if that's in the main or natural. I guess it's in the main, but it's only one.
Yeah, only one so far. The natural and the third base are quite exposed. There is no lair either, so there's no mobile detection available for ByuL. It's not going to be ready as the Dark Shrine is about to finish up and the War Prism is already on the way.
Yeah, he's now getting a Spore Crawler in the natural base, but it may just be too late. ByuL needs to recognize the shimmers and just try to body block it for as long as possible so he can get some protection out.
Yeah, I'll be honest, like, 2 DTs swiping away at the third base could kill it, but they go to the natural base instead, where there is detection.
Oh, they might get surrounded?
Up, the War Prism!
Was a lot of trouble, but not anymore. The DTs are going for that third base. The War Prism is still being attacked by the Queens. Had to drop the cargo, unfortunately.
Mate,
but the War Prism does survive.
That was incredibly risky maneuvering there by that War Prism. It should be dead, to be honest. Oh my god, NightMare, please. And as we were saying, like, there was potential for the DTs to deal damage at the third base, but they went to the natural, and now at the third, there's already a Spore, so we have detection everywhere that we need it.
We do, but we don't have defenses everywhere that we need it. Or rather, defenses aren't necessarily, or where the detection is at.
Exactly, like the DTs, they did head towards the natural base. A couple of drones were picked off, so at least some value has already been gotten. None of the DTs have been picked off, not yet. The control so far has been pretty good from NightMare, other than almost losing his War Prism.
Might almost lose it again, but I think the Warp Prism should back away in time. Overseer is on the way, as well as a whole bunch of roaches. So yeah, ByuL won't have to worry about the DTs. Behind that though, what is NightMare doing?
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god, NightMare. He just takes so many shots on that Warp Prism. My god. Calm down, buddy. He is transitioning at home. You know, we've got a third base. More importantly, to deal with all these roaches, we have Blink Stalkers and +1. +1 is a little bit delayed, but that's because of the overall opening that we've had. And Blink Stalkers, they're going to have a field day against these roaches.
They absolutely will. And I wouldn't be surprised if NightMare doesn't go for Immortals at all, actually, with this Robo-Bay. Just goes straight into Blink Disruptor.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Speaking of, mate, you already know, Robotics Bay is on the way for those Disruptors. This is a great composition to start off with, to deal with Ground Zerg, to deal with Roach Ravager, I guess I should say specifically. And I'm liking this a lot more out of NightMare compared to Game 1, where he was kind of stuck with Charge the Archon. Eventually, he got into Immortals, eventually.
Yeah, it did take him quite some time to do so. More importantly, I guess it took him quite a while to get into splash damage with his Disruptors.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, to be fair, that did have to do with his opener, the fact that the Glaive Adepts didn't really do anything, and he was kind of behind from the beginning because he would consistently lose workers at his third. So far, though, he has had a much easier time getting into this game, and there isn't that massive, like, gap in supply, or I should say gap in economy.
Yeah, the worker count has been pretty even throughout the entirety of this game. NightMare pulling a little bit of hit here. More importantly, though, NightMare has been on the amount of workers he needed to be at. He's been saturated on his bases for quite some time.
God, that he has. I'll be real. ByuL should have had a fourth base by now. The lack of fourth is it's concerning to me. Oh god, and right now, and NightMare's doing a really good job at just like keeping ByuL busy and not really allowing him to get anywhere near a fourth base location.
Exactly. This one Warp Prism that should have died is scaring ByuL so much more than it probably should.
Yeah, like we have more detection, more Overseers, more Roaches. ByuL is getting close to max out though, so again, he's going to be going for like a strong like 3 base, 200 supply Roach push. But like NightMare should be aware of this. Yeah, like NightMare should be aware that hey, there is no fourth base. All I need are shield batteries and cannons at home.
Yeah, shield batteries, cannons, the Disruptors as well to help out. He's actually going for a fourth base, which is a little bit of a gamble, but ByuL has 0 eyes on this. I feel like NightMare should be able to get away with it.
Yeah, as you said, like, this fourth base is pretty greedy, but he's getting away with it, boy. And now we have Disruptors already. We have 4 of them. Jesus Christ. It only takes 1. It only takes... Oh my god, no! Ugh.
I actually can't tell if that purification... If all of that blood was from the Purification Nova, or if it was a mix of the Disruptor and the Stalkers. Either way, ByuL took a lot of damage in that engagement.
That he did. It's so difficult pushing into Disruptors with just pure Roach Ravager. There's no kind of micro potential against that. Obviously, you can pre-split, but again, like, pushing up a ramp is not impossible here, and ByuL knows that.
But what about pushing up 2 ramps? Maybe 3 ramps?
He's trying to outmaneuver the army. Oh my god, he does hit the third base, but another Nova!
Oh, that actually got more Ravagers than I thought it would.
NightMare. I'm just disappointed at this one. Every time, there's nothing on hold position at the natural.
The walls are never walls, but it doesn't matter in the end. GG, NightMare has been on too good of an economy for way too long. Ties up the series 1-1.
Yeah. GG. ByuL was all in. There was no fourth base. He was down in economy. His Roach Ravager was not going to end the game. It was not doing well at all. And GG.
G to the G.
Yeah. Very interesting how that game turned out. I'll be honest. Yeah, I just wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting that to. Like ByuL, I guess, to be hyper committed to that one idea, to that one push.
True. Yeah, I have to wonder if that was ByuL's plan from the start, or if, again, it was more of a reaction to not being able to get his fourth base up. Because it did look, like he was being overly cautious with that with that Warp Prism.
Yeah, like a couple of things happened there. Like because of the opener from NightMare, like he did have full vision of everything, and he was kind of slowing ByuL down a little bit. So by the time the push came, like there were already enough disruptors where it didn't matter, right? And I feel like ByuL, if he wanted to, he probably could have taken a 4th base, but yeah, I guess he was, it's too committed, He knew that it
Pretty
just
much
at that point it wasn't going to work out. Didn't have a plan B.
It's usually how it goes. Commitment is good, but not always.
Where are you going with that? Where are you going with that?
I wasn't committed enough to go with that.
You're like, kids, just commitment is a bad thing sometimes. It's like, what? Sometimes you just gotta live that polyamorous relationship, you just spread your wings and fly.
Yeah. Don't tie yourself down, Don't. Anyway, we're gonna be concluding this best of 3 PvZ on Blackburn LE. The winner of this is gonna go up against Dark in the next round. And in the bottom right-hand corner, map's funding all the way in the bottom right-hand corner, we of course have our blue player coming out from the land of Korea. He is gonna be representing Prep Esports. He is ByuL.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Blackburn LE, we have the South Korean Protoss player tying up the series 1-1 in that last game. He's red. Representing Team NV, it is NightMare.
Real quick, Hulainer in the chat is giving some advice.
Oh.
Interesting. I'll look into that. I'll look into those settings after the broadcast probably. But it's ringing a bell why I might sound a little different.
Yeah. Again, shout out to the chat. I would recommend maybe screenshotting the chat so you can look at it later.
Yeah. But I think I now know why I sound a little different. You remember when you told me to fix Final Fantasy?
Oh, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
And apparently the way to fix, or the specific issue I had with Final Fantasy XIV was with audio inputs or something, where every now and then the game would just not recognize or switch inputs or what have you, and for some reason that would cause DirectX to crash. So one of our I don't think he's in CranKy Ducklings. Well, he's CranKy adjacent.
Yeah.
Somebody who we play with a lot basically told me to download this program from 1998. I'm not kidding. It was first made in 1998. And just list down whatever my main audio input and audio output was. And that did fix it. But it might also be why I sound a little different today, so...
Yeah, I mean, you sound pretty normal now. It's just at the start of the broadcast, you did sound different.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will also look into the control panel and whatnot. See if, because that is something that I might have not unselected. So it may be why every now and then, occasionally, a Windows update will just randomly reset my settings.
Yes. Thank you again, Hulainer. I was gonna give him a shout out earlier, but I was actually looking at the name. I was like thinking about how to pronounce it. I was like,
I took a gamble. I'm hoping I pronounce it right.
I was like, should I just call him Hula? Is Hula good?
Hula.
Thank you.
We are getting a little island themed today.
True. We will be heading over to the beachfront later on in the broadcast. But yeah, so far everything is looking pretty standard. I say pretty standard. Once again, NightMare. This time from a Stargate back into Twilight Council.
Yeah, interesting how NightMare has had a couple of variants around the Twilight Council build. Game number 1, Void Ray, Oracle straight into Glaive to Depths. Game number 2, immediately Dark Shrine with a Warpism. This time it seems like he's playing it a bit more safe with his Void Ray first, but yeah, it's not going into DTs isn't exactly off the table.
It really isn't, as we do have interesting. Okay, we have Charge on the way this time, not Glaives. Lings are trying to find a way in, but this time the wall is a wall, so NightMare will hold on strong here. And yeah, we'll see how this kind of turns out. For ByuL, he's the one who needs to scout this, but because of the Void Ray, all the Overlords have been dealt with.
Exactly. NightMare throughout this entire game has sort of noticed ByuL likes to go into roaches at some point, and he is going for a roach war now as well. Oh lord, this chargelet opening can absolutely shut down what ByuL is going for.
Yeah, exactly.
If only he went for +1 Banelings like he did in game number 1.
Yeah, Banelings are the hard counter here to charge. Lots roaches can do okay, but only if they are in high enough number, and only if there are things like Lings to buffer for them, so the roaches can kite. If the Zealots are able to close the distance, then roaches can fall in low numbers. Meanwhile, oh my god, nice macro so far by ByuL with his Lings, trading incredibly efficiently here, being very annoying at the third, but that doesn't matter because NightMare, he's across the map and he's ready to warp in.
Yeah, that's a third base that isn't meant to come up. The force fields are available. NightMare does match a nail force field, and a very quick warp in of Zealots behind that. These queens are forfeit. The queens of the ramp are gonna be forfeit by the time this force field finishes up. Very quick transfuse, but I think ByuL has used up all of his energy.
Yeah, and there's more than enough energy here for those walls, for those force fields. We got plenty of energy on one of these sentries, and more sentries can always be warped in. There we go, the Zealots are wreaking havoc, and the main base, it's gonna go down. We do have a couple of Ravagers, and that will help, but he still can't get in.
He really cannot.
Oh, the drones.
NightMare's just sort of baiting. There we go, he was baiting those drones to go up the ramp and then force fielding out. Zealots having an absolute field day. Having the time of their lives. They're just running around like, yay! There's so much space.
Let's go. 16 drones go down. Finally, ByuL will break back into his main base. This could have been a lot worse. It could have been 16 drones and the lair, but that was still a lot of damage.
Absolutely. Entire mineral line plus the gas counts. That's potentially game-ending damage here. We'll see how NightMare follows it up if he keeps up the momentum. There's always a possibility to come back here economically for ByuL since Blackburn has that gold base, but
yeah,
we'll see.
I mean, the big thing for ByuL is, and he knows that he needs to try and kill this third base. Nice around though. He's going to try and get these sentries, and he will get one of them, but only one goes for a bit of a run by this time. Again, there is a wall. NightMare, he's learning, he's growing.
I'm so proud.
Oh, God. But, yeah, as you were saying, ByuL, he's down in the economy. He's equal in bases, equal in workers, which is never a good thing for Zerg.
Absolutely not. Just keeping my eyes on whether or not ByuL decides to try to come back in this game economically, but because for now, he's just getting his Spire. He's doing nothing. He's making nothing but roaches at the moment. I think he's decided to just go all in from here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. He is going for a Spire, so I guess he wants to try and go into Mutas, and that is definitely a way to get back into this. There isn't a lot of anti-air, but if he does go into Mutas, honestly, I do fear for a ground-focused attack. Like, if NightMare goes for round 2,
no, he's walled too well. He walled too well.
Is that walling too well, Yaku? Is it walling too well?
He walled too well.
Look, it's from one extreme to the other. It's like, look, he either lets everything in or he blocks himself in, okay?
Yep. Some people say the wall can either be a wall or the wall cannot be a wall. You don't realize that the wall can also be too much of a wall.
Exactly. Alright, here we go. NightMare is coming across the map, and I do think that he has a superior ground army, but the Mutas are on the way, and maybe the Mutas can turn the tide of the battle. But these Stalkers are about to blink.
Yeah, they are about to have blink, but there aren't too many of them.
True.
It's all possible for ByuL to try to evade them, but not with this warp in, though. I think this is about to be it. The Purification Nova actually doesn't land. That was a really good split on the roaches, but I think it might be a moot point.
Yeah, it may be. We do have another round of Stalkers, but you know what? All the Zealots have been cleaned up. They were a little bit split up, and just like that, ByuL with the Arc, with the Queens, he actually defends.
Wow, I was not expecting that at all. The War Prism, will it go down? It does go down with 2 disruptors inside of it. That was such an expensive loss.
Oh my god. ByuL, he doesn't just defend, he takes out basically the entirety of the army. All of the high-tech units have been reset, and ByuL is looking good. Again, that NightMare, that engagement was really wonky. Like, I don't know if you saw, but like Zelts were going into the natural, going towards the third base. He wasn't fighting with everything at once. We had some force fields thrown down, but it was a little bit messy.
To say the least. And now the Mutas are actually going to be able to cause a little bit of havoc in this main base. Not too many Phoenixes out yet. Very quick warping of Stalkers, but +1 will be denied. That's actually not something to underestimate in PvZ.
Yeah, exactly. Without +1, and not just +1, but also like denial of eventually +2. Like the forge has to be remade, and now ByuL, he's just wreaking havoc with these mutas. There's only 2 Phoenixes.
This reminds me a lot of the ByuL from very back in the day. The Muta King, they used to call him.
Yeah, another Phoenix will get picked off as well. We have a massive commitment into the mutas. We have +1 air attack, +1 melee for just straight up Ling Muta. And ByuL, he's double expanding behind this. Like earlier, he was hurting, and to be fair, he still is hurting with the economy, but now with these 2 bases, he will catch up and get ahead.
Plus, it's a gold base.
Yeah.
It's about 1 more round of drones is all ByuL will really need for the time being. After that, he can focus almost entirely on his army.
Exactly. Meanwhile, the mutas, I mean, NightMare is still struggling to deal with them. He does have a decent Phoenix flock. I guess he's getting a second Stargate. He's getting +1 air attack, but he does not have a fleet beacon. He does not have Phoenix range.
Yeah, these mutas can still try to avoid the Phoenixes and cause a bit more harass. ByuL is still committed to the mutas. Kinda like seeing this.
Yeah, I mean, it's still working because the Phoenixes, there's only 3 of them. Like, there aren't that many of them. Like, ByuL can still abuse them and turn around and catch them whenever NightMare is not looking.
Yeah, try to herd the Phoenixes into the mutas using these queens.
God, oh my
Trying to
God.
set up a little bit of a flag. 1 more Phoenix should go down. Potentially 2. Potentially 3.
Oh, God.
But only 1.
Only 1 for now. The second gets incredibly low. Now, as all this has been happening, we of course have those Lings. We have +2 on the way. We should be getting Hive at some point with Infestation Pit. NightMare is expanding and taking a base, but can he hold on to this base?
Yeah, ByuL is aware of the gold base being taken right now. He's going to try to harass that as well as he can. The mutas, though, it's a straight-up apocalypse coming down. So much damage on these Phoenixes. You're about to run out of space to kite back to. Depowers both of these Stargates.
Oh God, no!
A lot of Phoenixes. Oh, but they're a little too close for comfort. And most of them will go down to the absolutely massive flock of Mutalisks.
It's one of those things that make you think Phoenixes are hard counter to mutas. Nah, mate, only Phoenixes with range. Without it, you can see them fall left and right. Ah, another one goes down.
I think the Muta count is finally starting to thin out a little bit thanks to the Stalkers, but so is the Phoenix count. I mean, I say thinned out. Phoenix count was essentially reset here.
Essentially, 14 workers go down, all the Lings go across the map. There's honestly not much left. There are a handful of Blink Stalkers, and he is attempting to remake these Phoenixes, but...
Maybe too little too late. ByuL has so much momentum behind him. Just look at that army supply difference.
Exactly. I was a little bit worried after game 2, not gonna lie. Game 2 was kind of rough on Berlingrad with that massive Roach push, but here in game 3, ByuL, I just love the diversity we've seen from him, the different styles, and for him to get into this mass meta, it's not something you see too often in this matchup.
Really isn't, for perhaps obvious reasons, but if there was any player out there who could make Mutalisks work in a ZVP, it would be ByuL.
Yeah, it really is. He's switching into Corruptors, and the Corruptors will definitely help against the Phoenixes. What's important is that finally Phoenix range is done. Anion Pulse Crystals has completed, so now NightMare will have an easier time dealing with the mutas, but they've already paid for themselves, and again, ByuL is transitioning.
Exactly. These Phoenixes are gonna have a bit of an easier time dealing with the mutas, but what about the corruptors that ByuL has already produced?
Hmm.
And he made them specifically just to deal with the Phoenixes. So all these mutas, they're just gonna be wreaking havoc on the ground army, on the ground economies. He doesn't even need them actually. He has so much Ling Bane.
Yeah, I was talking earlier about NightMare can get back into this if he gets a 4th base, but he's never gonna get a 4th.
Yeah.
Oh god, it's cancelled. It's denied for the 2nd time already. NightMare stuck on 3 bases. You know, starting to mine out a little bit as well. I say mine out. He's just losing workers left and right. He just can't afford to even saturate what bases he has.
Yeah, unfortunately you can't mine out if you don't have workers to mine.
True.
I'm not sure which is worse.
And NightMare, he's trying to get into Void Rays from here, and again, Void Ray Phoenix should counter Muta Corruptor, but like again, you need an economy to provide for all of that. And he just doesn't have one. He can only make 2 Void Rays at a time, and these are the first 2 that he's making.
Even with Chrono Boost, it's not gonna be enough at all.
I'm trying to think of a way for him to get back into this, and probably the biggest thing would be if he switched into like a more ground-focused army to kind of nullify all these corruptors. But at this point, it's too little, too late. Like ByuL, he's already thinking about the next series. He's thinking about Dark right now.
Pretty much. And yeah, even if NightMare were to switch into a ground army, I mean, he doesn't have much of a bank. Now he does, but yeah, I'm not entirely convinced. GG's call, and ByuL takes that series 2-1. Zerg is coming back. Nice.
Nice. GG, well played. ByuL does take the series 2-1, and we spoke about it before. That does mean that he will go up against Dark.
Yeah, boy, we missed him last week. Oh, man. Apparently, he went through an absolute tear just looking at the bracket on Wikipedia for ESL Open Cup Asia number 98. 3-0 Cure, that's the one series I can really remember because that was the finals. That is not something that a lot of players can say that I've done.
Yeah, exactly. Like Cure, he's won so many ESL Open Cup Asias. Like, he is the Terran to beat in these tournaments, and a lot of players can't beat him. You know, you got to be like a Zest or sometimes a Creator on a good day to take him down. But Dark just had his way with him. Unfortunately, we weren't there to cast, as again last week we were
not Deegan.
Yeah, we were not.
I was full Deegan.
I was just dead made after the cast. I was done. So unfortunately, we weren't able to cast last week, but here we are this week, and this week we will catch some Dark games.
Yep.